The peaceful city of Nagpur on edge. Arson, violence, vandalism. While a debate continues if it was police failure or conspiracy. The flashpoint was the grave of a Mughal emperor who died 300 years ago. A controversial figure who died 300 years ago. A city up in flames over a tyrant who died 300 years ago. Aurangzeb was undoubtedly a tyrant, a bigot and a cruel king. But 300 years on, is the name of Aurangzeb being weaponized in political discourse? To reinforce the historical wrong of Hindu oppression, to target Muslims, to justify the Hindutva narrative, Aurangzeb an easy tool of distraction to serve present-day ideological battles. Aurangzeb used as a dog whistle to keep the communal pot boiling. Top focus on To The Point this evening. Good evening, you're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry. Our top debate this evening is Aurangzeb now being used as a trope in the current political discourse. All of that coming up. First up, allow me to take you through the headlines. Chilling CCTV images of Nagpur riots, large mob with weapons pelting stones, sharp weapons used by mass rioters to attack. A massive political showdown brews in Maharashtra. Maharashtra Chief Minister says pre-planned conspiracy. Maha Aghadi claims Maha Yuti fanning the flames of riot. Prime Minister Modi lauds the Mahakumbh. Opposition attacks. Congress SP claim opposition gagged on Mahakumbh. Rahul Priyanka say not allowed to speak in Lok Sabha. US Intel Chief Tulsi Gabbard praises Prime Minister Modi at Raisina dialogue, says like Trump, Modi committed to nation first.
By working together honestly, transparently and strategically, we can ensure a more peaceful, free, secure and prosperous future for our people and the world. Thank you so much. Aloha. Jai Shri Krishna. Namaste.
ED heat on certain groups. Open Society Foundation affiliated raided. Forex violation probe by ED on Soros links. Sunita Williams finally earthbound. Undocking completed. Sunita heads home. SpaceX splashdown expected 3:27 a.m. IST. All right, let's get you the latest coming in from Nagpur, the city on edge after arson, violence, vandalism reported at the back of a massive row over the grave, a 300-year-old grave of Aurangzeb. Also following it, a political showdown. Here's more.
Armed with sticks, faces covered with scarves. Rioters went on rampage in Nagpur on Monday, vandalizing cars, setting vehicles on fire. A day later, politicians are busy in a blame game. The Mahayuti government alleged a conspiracy.
राज्यामध्ये लोकांच्या भावना देखील खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणात त्या ठिकाणी एक प्रकारे प्रज्वलित झालेल्या आहेत. औरंगजेबाबद्दलचा जो काही राग आहे तो रागही खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणात त्या ठिकाणी बाहेर येतोय. या सगळ्या गोष्टी आपल्या ठिकाणी असल्या तरी मला असं वाटतं की महाराष्ट्रात कायदा आणि सुव्यवस्था राखणं हे अत्यंत महत्वाचं आहे. त्यामुळे सर्वांनी संयम बाळगला पाहिजे.
लोकांना तर मला समजलं की कुऱ्हाडीचा वार देखील त्या ठिकाणी केला, हत्यारं होती, पेट्रोल बॉम्ब टाकले गेले आणि हे सगळं जे काही घडलेलं आहे ते असं वाटतं की पूर्वनियोजित एक साजिश होती.
Some in the ruling coalition claimed opposition hand.
विशिष्ट धर्मीय लोग गुट से जमा होते हैं, बस्ती पे पत्थर मारते हैं, कुल्हाड़ी से पुलिस लोगों को मारते हैं, सरनेम देख के पत्थरबाजी करके गाड़ियां तोड़ते हैं. 2 दिन से महाराष्ट्र के विपक्ष के नेता जो बयानबाजी कर रहे हैं, दंगल होगा, क्या उनकी ये साजिश है? क्या उनकी जांच होनी चाहिए? जो लोग पकड़े हैं उनकी जांच होनी चाहिए. उसके पीछे कौन है?
The opposition, on the other hand, attacked the Fadnavis government, accusing the ruling coalition of instigating the violent clashes.
इस प्रकार के जो बयानबाजी जो कर रहे सरकार के नजदीक के लोग, उनको माननीय मुख्यमंत्री ने हिदायत देना चाहिए कि इस प्रकार की बयानबाजी ना करें, ताकि महाराष्ट्र का वातावरण शांततापूर्वक बना रहे और इस प्रकार की घटना महाराष्ट्र में कहाँ भी नहीं घटना चाहिए. उसके लिए उन्होंने उनके जो नजदीक के सब लोग हैं उनको हिदायत देना चाहिए.
Nagpur's Guardian Minister Chandrasekhar Bawankule appealed for peace.
जिन लोगों ने भी वो स्थिति निर्माण की है उनको कड़ी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए. हमारा पुलिस प्रशासन वहाँ पर काम कर रहा है. कुछ हमारे पुलिस भाई भी जख्मी हुए हैं, लेकिन माननीय देवेंद्र जी ने, माननीय हमारे मुख्यमंत्री जी ने और हमने सबने पुलिस को कहा है कि किसी को ना छोड़े, किसी को ना बख्शे.
Nagpur is calm after the mayhem on Monday, after many areas of the city were put under curfew. With Ritvik Bhalekar, Abhijit Karande and Piyush Mishra, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, the fact, viewers, is that Aurangzeb undoubtedly was no saint. He was a tyrant, he was a bigot, and he was a very cruel administrator. But having said that, should we continue to have riots in his name 300 years after he's dead? Should his name continuously be exploited in the name of politics, weaponized in the name of politics to attack a particular community or to settle political scores? I just want to take you through what the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra said in Assembly and outside, that if somebody praises Aurangzeb, then he should be charged with treason. This is what the Deputy CM shared.
काही लोक म्हणाले औरंगजेब हा चांगला थोर शासक होता, चांगला प्रशासक होता. त्याला तर मी सभागृहामध्ये दाखवलं. विधानसभेच्या अधिवेशनात सांगितलं मी, असा माणूस अधिवेशनात सभागृहात बसण्याच्या लायकीचा नाही. याच्यावर देशद्रोहाचं कलम लावा आणि निलंबित करा.
Whereas both sides of the political divide continuing to fan the flames of polarization, especially in the name of Aurangzeb. Is it even fair? Where does the buck stop? Because if we start charging people with treason who praise Aurangzeb, then you can go all the way back to those who worship Ravan in this day and age, and they come from our very own country. Vidisha, Mandsaur, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Kanpur, Himachal Pradesh, Mandya, Karnataka, Mandsaur, Rajasthan. There are Ravan temples where Ravan is worshipped. Where does the buck stop if we are charging people with treason for praising Aurangzeb in this day and age? And at the back of it, what Nagpur witnessed was nothing short of bizarre violence in the name of a tyrant who died 300 years ago. At the back of it, the questions that we asked this evening: is Aurangzeb being weaponized for political discourse? Something we've seen over and over again. Aurangzeb's name now being used as a dog whistle to keep the communal pot boiling, where we continue, both sides of the divide make hateful statements against a particular community. What is wrong in reinforcing historical wrong of Hindu oppression is what many also suggested this point of time. Let's take this debate to our panelists this evening. Joining me, Rajat Sethi, political commentator, Ashutosh, author, political analyst, Sudhir Suryavanshi, senior journalist, Ratan Sharda, author and analyst. I'd like to cut across to Sudhir Suryavanshi, senior journalist, first, to give us a larger context on where we stand vis-a-vis Maharashtra, Nagpur. The riots or the arson vandalism was reported from Nagpur yesterday. Sudhir, in political context, can you translate why the sudden flare-up when it comes down to Aurangzeb? Of course, there's a film, in context of Chhawa, which had been released, which picked up in Maharashtra. On the other hand, the opposition says you're running out of funds for the likes of Ladli Bahin Yojana, and these are all diversionary tactics.
Preeti, this is quite, baffling questions for me as a political commentator and the journalist also. Why this Aurangzeb tomb issue has been raised? There is a relevance of the, context of the Chhawa film that is there. But why so much has been, flared by the political, particularly ruling establishment? I think the reason, it's very difficult to find out the reason. But what I see in this context that, BJP and the Mahayuti has got a massive mandate. There is no, virtually opposition in Maharashtra. Still, why this communal line has been played up? I think there is two things, might be going in the mind of the, top leadership of Maharashtra. In a long run in the politics, we have seen here, two kind of cards have been played. One is development card and second is Hindutva card. I think in the long run, both card has to be there if you want to achieve something at the top level. I think these two things I can see here. And on the other hand, there is a competition among, particularly in Mahayuti, between Eknath Shinde and the Devendra Fadnavis also, with a, strong Hindutva Chauvinist leader that is there. And second important thing, what I see also observe that two kind of politics and the two kind of discourse has been played here. One discourse particularly is surrounded on the basis of the caste line, and second is on Hindu-Muslim line. What is the caste line? If you see in Aurangzeb, there is one section of the historian who are close to the oppositions, and they are also known as a impartial historian, said that due to the Brahmin person, Sambhaji was trapped by the Aurangzeb, and his brutal death happened. So that narrative has been developed to pitch Maratha or Bahujan versus Brahmin. But the second narrative has been pushed very heavily, particularly the ruling establishment, that Aurangzeb has been symbolized as the present Muslims, and that has been flared up. Particularly, if you see the BJP minister Nitesh Rane, he has made several controversial statements, and his statement was, also supported by the Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis also. Rane is continuously making communal statement, and he is in the power. So that raises the big questions why they want all these things. And because of that, Maharashtra, which is already facing huge more than 8 lakh crore debt stock, annually they are paying almost 55,000 crore as an interest. Second, there is unemployment rise. Then 8 farmer, committing suicide in every week. So there are a lot of issues at the hand. But we people, particularly political, section, is indulging, in the discourse of the 400-year-old Mughal Empire, Aurangzeb, and that has been called as a diverted tactics or the diverted focus from the main issues.
Sudhir, I'll just come here. Thank you for putting it in context, especially where Maharashtra is concerned. But viewers, Aurangzeb is not only echoing just in Maharashtra. It's all across the country. We've seen what's happened in Uttar Pradesh as well. But I want to cut across and go to Rajat Sethi, Ashutosh, and bring in Ratan Sharda into this conversation. First up, Rajat Sethi, one would think it's all right till the time the violence is restricted to social media. There's trolling, you are talking about it, it's a bone of contention. But when it translates into tangibles that we see on ground, then we really have something to worry about. Nagpur, a relatively very peaceful city, is ablaze because of something that happened 300 years ago.
Well, let me start off by saying that Aurangzeb to Hindus is same as Hitler is to Jews. Let there be no two-siding on this topic. Let us not come up with historians, so to say, neutral historians are trying to provide certain nuances. It is as black and white as it is. If there is a group today which stands up and says that Hitler was great, is being socially ostracized in any kind of a sensible place, and that is the matter of fact. Now here, there is one film which comes out, which duly passes all the certification, and there is freedom of expression. They came out with a film. There are certain groups which will, of course, get agitated about it. But the real trouble started with somebody, I believe it was Abu Azmi, who is a Samajwadi party leader, who comes out praising Aurangzeb. And I believe for all the atrocities that Aurangzeb has committed, why should Hindus forget? Why is there an attempt consistently to corner the Hindu community that you have suffered, so be it, forget about it? Has there been any kind of a reconciliation thought process in this country ever? No, it has never happened. And even in this discussion, I am seeing that you have attempted to both side the narrative. Were the Hindus on the street in Nagpur to try and flame up violence over there? Why should Hindu do the sort of suffer in this narrative battle that is again being trying to project in the same way that both the communities are trying to come in? Of course, I personally feel going and digging up the tomb is not going to result in anything. There is nothing left 300 years hence below that tomb to remove that tombstone. That is my personal opinion.
Okay.
Which doesn't take away the core feelings that the Hindu community still feels against Aurangzeb. And there have been concerted efforts, largely from the opposition party, to stoke those insecurities that Hindus have. This is trying to mock the sufferings that our ancestors have gone through consistently. And this has been the narrative. We saw it in our educational books. Systematically, for decades, this whitewashing had been done. Now it is being unearthed. And tomorrow, if a film on Tipu Sultan comes, will you again allow this both-siding narrative to go on? Oh, Hindus and Muslims are both responsible for this.
All right. You know, the other side of the north. Okay, fair point.
We should try and have a very mature understanding of who caused the riots. If we don't have the answers, let's be quiet.
Okay. No, the point. No. 1 second. Rajat Sethi, the both sides of the narrative is very clear that you're using Aurangzeb as a dog whistle to attack a particular community. And it is happening. No. That is one side of the narrative if you're going to say it's not happening. All right. Allow me to open up the debate. Allow me to. All right. My job as a journalist. Sir, my job as a journalist is to put both sides of the narrative. You have put your side. Let me get another side. I want to bring in Ashutosh into this conversation. Ashutosh, with what Rajat Sethi says, that the pendulum clearly has swung so far right that there has been so much gaslighting, and now it's going to swing right. And therefore, you see what you do see. It's reinforcing of what, in terms of oppression, was where it came down to Hindus.
See, Preeti, I completely agree with Rajat Sethi. Rarely I agree with him. I completely agree with Rajat Sethi when he says that the Hitler cannot be eulogized. Agree, completely agree. I have absolutely no question on that. But history also tells us that those who supported Hitler's, their coteries, their ministers, they were also tried at the Nuremberg trial and they were hanged. Hitler committed suicide. What about Jaswant Singh? Who trapped Shivaji? It was Mirza Raja Jai Singh. There is a city called Jaipur. There is a lady called Minister, belongs to that Raja Jai Singh. So you can't have a segregation that Aurangzeb was bad, but just Singh, Mirza Raja Jai Singh was brilliant. You know, this narrative is basically a dangerous narrative. If you are condemning Aurangzeb, please condemn. If you want to remove that Mazar, please remove. Dig it out. Like the Bamiyan was done. That's a part of ideology. But the issue is, what are you going to do with Mirza Raja Jai Singh? What are you going to do with Jaswant Singh? He was also a Sipa Salar, and the highest, sabse bada mansabdar was Jai Singh. What are you going to do with him? So, for you, Jai Singh is a sacred fellow. Nobody should talk about him because he's a Hindu. No. The traitor is the traitor, whether he's a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian or a Sikh. If Aurangzeb did what he did with Maharaja Shivaji's descendants and with Shivaji, he did it because Jai Singh was there. because Jaswant Singh was there. So this is very hypocritical. This is basically to create anarchy in the society, to create hatred against a particular community, nothing else. Otherwise, I can't believe this. At the center, there is a Modi government. In Maharashtra, there is a Devendra Fadnavis government. Nagpur belongs to Nitin Gadkari, a powerful minister. Nagpur belongs to the RSS. Nagpur belongs to Devendra Fadnavis. And still the riot is happening.
I want to bring in...
How incompetent it could be.
All right. Allow me to bring in Ratan Sharda also into this conversation. Ratan Sharda, the fact is, when the Deputy Chief Minister says that if you praise Aurangzeb, or you have any words or kind words to say against the tyrant that Aurangzeb was, you should be charged with treason. But Ratan Sharda, where does the buck stop? Because if you're going to go 300 years down in history, then you can go all the way to the worshippers of Ravan. And there are a lot of places in the country where Ravan is worshipped.
Ours is a very complex society. Ours is a very multi-layered culture and multi-layered civilization. To try to equivocate between something that is time old as Ramayana and to what has happened currently is irrational. Now, you tell me, if you are going to say that you are going to say 300 saal pehle Aurangzeb mar gaya, so you should not talk about him, but somebody can praise him. Who made Aurangzeb as a representative of the Indian Muslim? First tell me. Who made it? Those very secular people who said by insulting Aurangzeb or abusing Aurangzeb, you're abusing Muslims. Muslims are as much victims of Aurangzeb as Hindus were. Hindus didn't convert, Muslims converted. So why should you compare a victim of like Indian Muslim as somebody who's glorifying Aurangzeb? Maulvis can do it, Owaisi can do it, but should normal Muslim do it? Second question, you said that there are riots, bipartisan riots. You clearly know there are reports, there is targeted violence, cars with certain Hindu signatures are only destroyed. Those are burned, but you will not speak about them. You say there are, Mr. Sudhir said, there are two kind of, narratives, development and Hindutva. What about secularism, which basically means dog whistling for minoritism? And when you say Aurangzeb is 300-year-old, why are Brahmins continuously blamed for something which the forefathers did 100 years back, in spite of high caste people creating reservation for SC/ST and trying to remove that kind of discrimination done by earlier? They will be blamed even today. They'll be abused even today. You have people like Black Lives Matter. You have native Indians agitating. That is also hundreds of years old. Why are you now blaming the whites? No, sorry, these are deep civilization wounds. You cannot stoke them by praising a person who is the most violent, wild bigot in this world. And tell me, just a moment, tell me, by somebody saying that Aurangzeb should be done this or that, why should it turn into riot? Did Hindus riot? Did Hindus burn people? Did Hindus discircumcise Juda? They agitated.
Ratan Sharda, one second. Okay, as I bring back Sudhir into this conversation, nobody is denying.
Violence.
No, one second, sir. Nobody is.
Violence.
Sir, I want to bring in Sudhir back into this conversation. Number one, nobody is denying that Aurangzeb was a bigot, tyrant, one of the most cruel administrations. You're bang on all of that. Nobody, when you say that why shouldn't there be a conversation around his tyranny, of course there should be. Why not? There is nothing wrong in that. I don't think you got my question. The question is, should somebody be charged for treason if they seem to side with those who have a kind word for Aurangzeb? That is the context of 300 and that is the context of Ramayana, sir. Because how far are you going to go? No. I just want to bring in, allow me to, I'll come back to you, sir. I promise you'll get your time. I'll come back to you. I just want to bring in Sudhir back into this conversation. Sudhir, what you touched on right in the beginning is the current context on which sits Maharashtra, because at one end, if I can use the terminology, there's brute majority, yet there seems to be, going back to the old formula of fanning the flames of communalism. Why do you think it's happening?
So that's that has happened. That to happen in the Nagpur, where the RSS headquarters is there. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis constituency is there. Bharatiya Janata Party, Maharashtra President Chandrasekhar Bawankude constituency adjoining to that. It's very surprising. Nagpur is known very. Ratan Sharda ji has also tweeted, earlier that in the first time after long period the riot happened in Nagpur. Nagpur is known very peace-loving city, but still it is happening there. I think that is the result of this people's statement, as I mentioned, earlier segment, Nitesh Rane and the fringe element. And I think the chief minister, he has to be, rise above all these kind of, dirty fringe politics, and he has to take the stand.
Okay.
But he supported Nitesh Rane and all these people.
Sudhir, as I bring in the others, I want to ask you a quick question, because we've always seen, the likes of Ajit Pawar take a harder stand when it comes down to issues where, communal issues are concerned. What's going on internally?
The Ajit Pawar faction has always taken the stand, and they always say that they believe in the secular and progressive politics, and they are there for the arrangement, not for the ideological things. So they always defend that as secular and the progressive ideology, Shah Pule Ambedkar. Now the question before Ajit Pawar, how will defend and how will, he will convince his vote base, particularly the Muslim vote base, in this context. That is the major question before him. Shinde has gone, one line ahead than the Fadnavis today in the state assembly election by criticizing the people who were trying to put some points. So this is very, complex politics. I think this is a fight, among all these three leaders who will be the, grab the top post in the coming days.
All right, I just want to give two minutes to all our three other panelists to make their point. Rajat Sethi, you wanted to come in for a rebuttal to Ashutosh. Go ahead.
Well, I don't remember what all he said, but I remember loosely he said that we should punish Jai Singh's great-grandchildren or whatever. You want to hang the current minister? Please, go... If you, this is laughable. Okay. Now, let me be serious here. So, again, go back to basics. See, understand that there has been issues around the central figure and what he symbolizes till date. Suppression of basic freedoms of the Hindu community. That is what Aurangzeb's name even today resonates with. And there cannot be two doubts about it. You cannot come up and say that 300 years have happened. Why should we talk about it? You will have to ensure to keep talking about it so that your generations remember what happened when we were not united. That is the core message. And there is no point in repeating the same point over and over again. But have the Jews stopped making films on the Hitlers and the atrocities that he unleashed? No, they're still making movies, and they will continue till their creative expression remains and stories have to be told. They will continue narrating it. There should not be any doubt about it. And the Muslim community today needs to reconciliate, address the elephant in the room and say that, yes, what Aurangzeb did, what Tipu Sultan did was absolute atrocity, and we do not stand with it. That test has to be be passed by the Muslim community through the narrative, through public utterances repeatedly. They will have to do that in order to ensure that there is greater amount of semblance and understanding of where both the communities and the differences are coming in from. Just trying to address what's at the surface. Again, I'm not condoning violence. I'm talking about creating a common platform where thoughts can be exchanged. You cannot come out and block films. You cannot say that a movie like Chhawa cannot come out. A movie which doesn't fit into the narrative of Tipu Sultan should not come out. That is something which should not be our discourse. Violence should be abolished. But there has to be a way, if Muslims feel that they have been cornered or are being questioned on the count of Aurangzeb, they need to come out and surface it in a civilized way. Where is this stone-pelting virus spread from Kashmir all the way to Nagpur? I don't understand that. Why do they always have to
I'd like to bring in Ashutosh as well. Of course, conversations constantly need to be had, especially if a huge chunk, Ashutosh, of the majority feels that they've been gaslit for so many years and these conversations were not really allowed to have had. And that is why we possibly see the kind of repercussion that we do. But on the other side, Ashutosh, there's also, nobody's saying don't have conversations, but to start talking about treason and to say it in the same assembly where you're sitting right next to somebody who's gone and praised Godse smacks of nothing short of hypocrisy.
See, Preeti, I always thought that the Rajat Sethi is a different intellectual from the right, but today he misquoted me. Did I ever say that the sons and the daughters of the Jai Singh should be hanged? No, I did not say that. I think he made himself laughable. What I wanted to convey is a very, very simple thing. You cannot distinguish Mirza Raja Jai Singh from Aurangzeb. It's simple. Rajat Sethi and Ratan Sharda skipped that question itself. Now the issue is, what is the narrative on the ground by the BJP and others? औरंगिया की औलादें. What is this narrative? If औरंगिया की औलादों को आप गाली बक रहे हैं और उनको आप सब कुछ कह रहे हैं, तो फिर जयसिंह के औलादों के बारे में आपका क्या कहना है? इस पर भी तो टिप्पणी होनी चाहिए ना, कि सिर्फ औरंगिया के औलादों के बारे में बातचीत करेंगे ना. द इशू इज वेरी सिंपल. इशू इज, if you want to judge Aurangzeb, then you should not be seen to be sparing Mirza Raja Jai Singh. There was more than 33% of entire bureaucracy was part of the Hindus, and among all the Mughal rulers, when Akbar had 33% of the Hindu senior officials, Aurangzeb had 37% Hindu rulers.
Okay.
He could rule India. Now let me come. He could rule India. He could trap Shivaji with the help of Jai Singh and Jaswant Singh. What is RSS stand on the Mirza Raja Jai Singh and Jaswant Singh? Unless they spell it out, unless they condemn it, unless they condemn the whole narrative which has been spread. If you're condemning Aurangzeb ki aulade, then what about Jai Singh and Jaswant Singh's aulade?
Okay, I want to bring in Ratan Sharda into this conversation. 1.5 minutes, Ratan Sharda, that you have. Do conclude. The fact is, nobody is saying don't talk about Aurangzeb. Nobody is saying highlight what he did. Have all those conversations. But when hypocrisy sets in is because it's suddenly treason if you say anything, which is pro-Aurangzeb, and yet you are standing with those who, openly come out and stood with the killers of Mahatma.
I do not know who stood up with killers of Mahatma. Please don't abuse indirectly.
Sorry, sir?
Secondly,
nobody is abusing anyone.
Nobody appreciates Godse. You are talking to me.
No, I'm not talking to you, sir. I'm talking.
So
no. 1 second.
Appreciates Godse.
I don't think. Okay, Ratan Sharda. Either you want to twist my statement. You've only come here for that. You can't do that because it's my show. So let me also tell you what I meant to say. I will clarify because you said something. So allow me that. When I said, who said treason, sir? The Deputy Chief Minister. Who's he standing besides? Nitesh Rane. Who praised the killers of Godse? Nitesh Rane. Have I made myself clear? Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, since Ashutosh asked, nobody in RSS ever appreciated Mirza Raja Sindhia. Second point, we don't look at the global picture. Why is Muslim agitated all over the world? Why does Muslim go on riot in UK? There is no RSS. Germany, no RSS. Sweden, no BJP. France, no BJP. Nigeria, Kenya, why there is no BJP? Why they are writing there without any cause, without any pause on every provocation? So try to understand the minds of the Muslim leaders who keep on instigating Muslim masses who suffer because of them. And again, I say, the conversation is fine. Tippani is fine, as Ashutosh put it. Does it lead to violence? Should it lead to the stoning? Should it lead to burning of the cars? That should not be allowed. Whether it's Hindu or Muslim, it should not be allowed. But clearly in Nagpur, it is totally one-sided. Should CA have led to Delhi riots? Should a cricket match have led to riots in Mahu? No. So there is certain mindset with the leaders who instigate these people on a Friday namaz day, use them as firing tools. We should not do it. As simple as that.
Okay, fair point. You raised a question. Ashutosh, you only have 10 seconds to answer because you want to come in with what... 10 seconds, sir.
I just want to correct Ratan Sharda ji, the Germany, America, and all. There is a Muslim immigrants, but what is happening over there? It's a resentment against immigrants, and those immigrants were sent from USA to India.
So immigrants, they will.
All right. Rajat Sethi wanted to come in. Rajat Sethi, I'm going to allow you just exactly the same time as Ashutosh.
Mythology.
10 seconds, Rajat Sethi.
It's news, not mythology. Sorry.
See, the comparisons that you're trying to make repeatedly, be it Ravan or Godse, these are like, you have to contextualize the current discussion.
Okay.
And I don't see where is that context heading towards. We're just trying to bring in any random example anywhere in the world.
It's not random example, but I really have, I try to explain it in the beginning.
It doesn't juxtapose well.
10 seconds, sir, is what you had. I need to close the bulletin. You posed a question. I wish I could go into. It's not a random example. It really is not a random example. It just matches with hypocrisy at the same level. It does. You can have conversations around Aurangzeb. He was a tyrant, but to charge people with treason, that's a big question mark, especially when you stand with those who have praised the killers of Mahatma Gandhi, number one. Where you talk about how far back are we going to go? Are we going to start charging people with treason who praise Ravan in this country? I will, anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. That's all the time I have for now. I apologize. We need to move on to our second debate. A quick break. When we come back on the other side, Telangana, backward classes quota bid, political posturing or real intent? That's the debate we are heading into. Stay with us.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini. Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Hello, I am AI anchor Sana, bringing the top headlines for you, presented by Motorola. Chilling CCTV images of Nagpur riots, large mob with weapons pelted stones, sharp weapons used by masked rioters to attack, over 50 rioters arrested. PM Modi Lords Mahakumbh, opposition attacks. Rahul Priyanka say not allowed to speak in Lok Sabha. Sunita Williams is returning to Earth after spending 9 months in space, spacecraft to reach Earth at 3:27 a.m.
The headlines that shaped the day, the newsmakers who set the agenda, and the moments you just can't miss. Fast, fresh, and full throttle. This is 5 Live with me, Gaurav Sawant. Weekdays at 5 p.m. only on India Today.
कल जो घटना घटी नागपुर में वो बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण ऐसी घटना है। और एक चीज़ है कि लोगों ने, पूरी जनता ने बहुत अच्छा कोऑपरेट किया, बहुत संयम रखा करके जो परिस्थिति नागपुर में कल थी अभी काफ़ी शांत है। इस प्रकार के जो बयानबाजी जो कर रहे सरकार के नज़दीक के लोग, उनको माननीय मुख्यमंत्री ने हिदायत देना चाहिए कि इस प्रकार की बयानबाजी ना करें, ताकि महाराष्ट्र का वातावरण शांततापूर्वक बना रहे। और इस प्रकार की घटना महाराष्ट्र में कहाँ भी नहीं घटना चाहिए, उसके लिए उन्होंने उनके जो नजदीक के सब लोग हैं उनको हिदायत देना चाहिए।
ये हिंसा हुई नहीं, ये हिंसा कराई गई। पिछले 10-15 दिनों से औरंगजेब के मुद्दे पर कुछ इधर से इरादतन शरारतन बयानबाजी और कुछ भाजपा की तरफ से सुनियोजित ढंग से जनता का ध्यान उन समस्याओं से हटाने के लिए, उन वायदों से हटाने के लिए जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने चुनाव में किए थे और पूरे नहीं कर पा रहे, तो उनसे हटाने के लिए ध्रुवीकरण कराया गया। सरकार का काम है कि कहीं आग लगी हो बुझाओ, या तो सरकार खुद ही आग लगा रही थी, जो उससे जुड़े संगठन वो लगा रहे थे।
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Months after caste survey, Telangana passes a bill for 42% backward classes reservation. After state caste survey conducted by state found backward classes form 56.33% of state. The bill cleared with support of BJP and BRS. Push to increase reservation in government jobs, educational institutes, urban and local body polls. The legislation will now need nod of centre. But the quota bid raises the total reservation in the state from 50% to over 70%. Supreme Court has capped reservation at 50%. For a state to give quota based on state caste census. Telangana reservation bid political posturing or real intent? Well, in all probability, viewers, this will be struck down when it comes down to the top court of the country, like it has been with other states. But the questions that we pose this evening for our political face-off: Telangana reservation bid, political posturing and actual real intent, knowing very well that it would be struck down by the top court. Will Telangana reservation bid set a precedent for other states? This is the first time that a state has conducted its own survey and on the basis of that announced reservation for backward castes. Will other states also follow? And what could be the political fallout of that? And lastly is a question that most of us ask. Reservation versus meritocracy debate reignited once again, because if this reservation is possible in Telangana, it will take the quota in Telangana from 50% to over 73%, nearly close to 75%. What happens to the general caste category? Let's cut across to our face-off this evening. N.V. Subhash, spokesperson BJP, Srinivas Reddy, spokesperson Congress. Both of them join us. I want to cut across to Mr. Srinivas Reddy. Srinivas Reddy, many suggest that this was a trope you floated. It's anyway going to be struck down by the top court of the country, and there is no real intent behind it.
Good evening, Preeti. First of all, I would like to say that this is a poll promise which has been made by the Congress even before the elections. And there was always a long pending demand of the backward classes in Telangana to increase the reservation from their existing 29% to 42%. It was a long pending demand of the BC group. And he did not say that it is not going to face any legal battle or anything of that sort. But definitely, if the center agrees, we definitely have a say in that. When Tamil Nadu can do it at 69%, why not Telangana? Telangana definitely also. And we are not talking just like that. We have done a caste census, a very scientifically designed caste census. And based on the reports wherein of the caste census, we have found out that the backward classes in Telangana are close to about 56.33%. And it's only like we are not trying to give anything extra to them. We are only trying to balance what is there as per the caste census. So I don't think saying that it is a political appeasement or politically appeasing move is right. We are trying to do some social justice here. Congress party has always been for social justice, and we are trying to do social justice and try to balance the equations in the as per the caste census report. That is what
But Mr. Reddy, you're giving the example of Tamil Nadu, but Tamil Nadu is the only anomaly because Maharashtra, Odisha, it's all been struck down in those states.
Tamil Nadu, if we have seen, they have taken their shelter under the 9th schedule of the Constitution. So probably Telangana, we are also, we might try to, we are asking the center support for that because Tamil Nadu, by an amendment to the Constitution, they have now their act, whatever the Tamil Nadu Act, it was Tamil Nadu Act 45 of 94. It was.
I'll come back to it. I'll come back to the 9th Amendment and why you'd want to push, this reservation through. I want to cut across to NV Subhash, spokesperson BJP. Mr. Subhash, in principle, the BJP Telangana unit has supported this bill, which has been mooted by the Congress Telangana. But in the larger context, NV Subhash, will this be deeply problematic for the BJP? Because now multiple states can come up with their own caste survey and decide on reservation based on that. This could set a dangerous precedent, many say.
Exactly. Preeti, good evening and good evening to all. This is, the politically sensitive issue, and it is the emotive nature of the issue. So the Bharatiya Janata Party Telangana has approved, the supported bill which has been tabled yesterday by Honorable Chief Minister Mr. Revant Reddy. So first of all, I would like to, comment on this because the way they have done the caste survey, it is not scientifically approved because when we see the application form, there is a blank, about the people had some choice that, whether they can fill up the caste and, the subcaste also. So when the enumerators have gone towards, the city all over the state, there have been a little bit, uproar among the people, and then many people have not really filled up this, the just application. The second thing, what we have been telling that this is not been done scientifically because of various reasons. And the Bharatiya Janata Party in the previous elections, in 2023 assembly elections also, we have categorically declared that the Bharatiya Janata Party's candidate will be, the BC candidate will be the Chief Minister of the state. So when we see about the constitution of our party, we have given a lot of many people who have been given the choice, and then they have been appointed in the party's position as well as MLAs and MPs also when we have gone for the the parliament and assembly elections. What we fail to understand why Revant Reddy is so sensitive about it when we see the the cabinet composition. There are only two pieces, Preeti. This is where he has been telling to the people.
Okay.
And he says that he is very much interested about development of VCs when his own cabinet is completely about the forward.
All right, I'll come back to you. I want to go back to the Congress spokesperson. Questions are being raised on how you've conducted this caste census, not just by the BJP, Mr. Reddy, you even know by some of your own sitting MLAs that you've suspended, number one. Number two, the bigger question, Mr. Reddy, is this lazy politics? You want to do it for the sake of doing it, which ups then the quota to over 73%. You might call it social justice, but ultimately what happens to the general category? You're only left to play with 27%. What about meritocracy?
I would like to address this issue, but we are not saying that the general category is going to be suppressed. We are only trying to get it to a level playing field. Because what is happening here is these backward classes which they did not have the opportunity so far. We are trying to give them an opportunity by increasing the caste, the percentage of the backward classes and SCs, STs and all. So they will be getting more opportunities to come on to the level playing field, and they will be more represented. It is not like the general category is going to be based on the population, based on the census report, based on the reports which we have. It is purely based on the data which we have, that we have gone ahead and done this. And saying that the caste census was not done properly, I don't think is agreeable, because it was done in a very scientific way, in a way different.
The larger question was also that you haven't really given any representation in your own cabinet. So if there is actual intent, you'll at least show it in terms of representation in your own cabinet. 10 seconds, sir.
These are the first steps towards that. Definitely the representation in the cabinets will also be made at a later point of time.
Mr. Reddy, many would have thought that should have come first and then the call for quota. But I want to go back to Mr. Subhash. And Mr. Subhash, you didn't answer that question, because what you've done at a state level by supporting the quota mooted by the Congress Telangana could be dangerous for the center, which you have your government in, because then each state would come up with their own caste survey and say there's precedent already.
Yeah, see, this is very, very sensitive issue. The Chief Minister has all the prerogative to implement this and then send to the Governor for approval on that. But instead, knowingly very clearly that there is a case between the 1992 Supreme Court judgment about Indira Sahni case and the rest of India, there is a cap in the Supreme Court about 50% reservations cannot be exceeded. Leave about Tamil Nadu, but the Maharashtra, they have implemented, they wanted to do it in 2018 and 2023, but the Supreme Court has rejected. Elsewhere in the Bihar and in just Orissa also. Knowing all this, the Revanth Reddy's government wanted to defend themselves, that they are the savior for the backward classes and that. And when we are seeking the appointment with the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister is aware, the government of his Justice India is aware about all these cases, and there is a precedent about it. So there is very, very, it's a sensitive issue about it.
All right, okay. It is a sensitive issue, and it's a political hot potato at that. We're going to leave it at that. Appreciate both our panelists for joining us. I just want to, tell our viewers, with what the Telangana government is proposing is a 23% rise in the existing quota for the backward classes, which will up the total quota in the state of Telangana from what was 50% earlier now to really close to 75%, between 73 to 75%. Very little would be left for the general caste. So at one end, there will be the champions of social justice, but then they're also facing off with the champions of meritocracy. Where do our viewers stand on that? We'll let you decide. A quick break. Up next is Gaurav Sawant.